Oh, snap. I think we're live.
And we are live. I'm Steve Metrics with yo boy.
TJ Triggs.
And together we are No Debate Sports here on a Monday night, not a Sunday night like that logo showed, but we are here on a Monday night, game 5
Yeah.
of the NBA Finals, and we're rolling.
I mean, we're rolling. We're kind of doing it. We're here. We're doing stuff.
We're both in a undisclosed location. That is no debate.
That's true. That's definitely true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yep.
wondering, like, where am I? Like, what am I doing?
Uh, we are on the internet. That is for sure.
That is true. That's true. I wonder if I can somehow, like, I'm using my fingers as much, so I'm like really close to the camera. Like, what
Uh-oh.
am I doing?
Oh, kind of
Um,
like the end of Blair Witch.
ooh, that's creepy.
Man. Yeah, that's debate.
That is total debate. Total
Mhm.
debate.
Absolutely. But
Well, you know what? I put all these crazy things have happened. I don't know
okay.
what kind of crazy things have happened to you. You said the finals, like, man, Shea is balling. Tyrese Halliburton is whining. I don't know. Siakam's playing basketball. Jay Will is doing things, and there's even some Chet sightings. I'm just like, man, let's play some basketball.
Absolutely. I think you're kind of seeing how Indiana can kind of wiggle their way through the series and benefit hugely off of Rick Carlisle's coaching to find whatever openings they can in this series and get wins out of it. Um, I don't think Indiana is the better team, but I
No,
do definitely think Indiana by far is better competition to Oklahoma City than New York City would have been. I think New York City would have fallen flat. I don't think they have the guys, and I don't think they have the pace of play to keep up weekend or night in night out with Oklahoma City.
I mean, that's most definitely true. You kind of seen that Brunson ran out of gas. Like he
Yeah,
was like he would give you 40 and then the next game you're like, "Oh, where'd Brunson go?" And then
right.
he'd give you 35 and then you're like, "Aren't there other players on this team? What happened?" Um
Yeah,
I mean, you got Bridges out there and OG Ananobi and like you can't forget about Cat. And it was one of those things where you're like, "Man, did Tibbs get fired because of this?" But at the same time, these dudes are athletes, man. Like,
yeah,
you're supposed to be ready to go. Back in the day, and I'm not trying to, I know, people are going to say they use more energy and all that stuff now, but like, dude, come on. Like, the 90s, early 2000s, those dudes were putting up like 40 minutes a game. They would
yeah.
go deep into the playoffs, put up another 40 minutes a game. You didn't know anybody like on the Lakers bench. You barely could name two or three players on the Spurs bench. Like,
Right.
we knew household names for a reason because they would go in the playoffs, they would play deep, they'd play big minutes, they'd put up big numbers. And like now I feel like
Durant.
people are whining because, Tom Thibodeau did that and got his dudes further than any New York team has been in 20 years, 30 years. So it's like, can you really be mad at the guy? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, I love the toughness that Thibodeau brings with his team, but the major thing with Tibbs in New York, and this was also a gripe in Chicago, I remember as well when he was coaching there, was that he didn't utilize the bench enough. And
Yeah.
granted, the guys are tough and they got great players. They put great things into place, but to me, that's the one thing that kind of holds them back to some of these other teams is they can't really go blow for blow and go cross court as easily as a Indiana or a Oklahoma City teams that just have crazy fast pace of play. I mean, granted, they did shut down Boston, they did take care of Cleveland, but To me, it's definitely or wait, actually no, they did not. Boston was Indiana, correct? No, I think
Cleveland was Indiana. Boston was New
correct.
York.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yep, yep. So that's kind of the way it's been going with New York is like they just have that pace of play. But I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like this is kind of two things that are going on. One is the fact that it is a trait of Tom Thibodeau. The other thing is that I think there's something going on with Timothy Dolan coming back into the mix. So the last few years of the Knicks have flourished because Timothy Dolan's been tied up building that sphere in Las Vegas. He owns that. That is property that he owns. That's his child. He built that up. It's awesome. It's cool. People rave about it. I've only heard good things, but he spent a ton of time dealing with that. Now, when he's been dealing with the Knicks, you've had weird things. You've had former Knicks players getting escorted out of the arena.
Charles Oakley.
Uh, yeah, Charles Oakley, all that weird, crazy nonsense. And now now Timothy Dolan's back. And I've heard that basically Timothy Dolan runs things kind of similarly to kind of the other New York, especially football teams like the Jets and the Giants. And it can be a mess. And I think that's what we are about to get with Timothy Dolan kind of being back in the fold. The sphere is complete. And I think he fired Tom Thibodeau thinking that he was easily going to get his replacement, and he kind of knew who he thought his replacement was. I think he for sure thought that he was going to
Hmm.
land Jay Wright because Jay Wright's coached a ton of these players. And Jay Wright's been in the media for about maybe 2, 3 years now. But would he totally take the Knicks job? I mean, there's something on Barstool Sports, which I grant it's comedic, but he has been he has been on it saying that he would coach the New York Knicks. So I think they kind of thought that that would happen. But if not Jay Wright, then they thought somehow they could scalp Jason Kidd from the Dallas Mavericks, and I have no idea
have,
where that thought came
have you
upon.
heard?
And to be honest, if I'm Jason Kidd, I would rather coach the Mavericks than the New York Knicks.
Have you heard all of this nonsense? So I've heard Jay Wright say no. Like I read that he said no.
Right.
Then uh, they went for uh, oh man, I'm blanking on names and I feel so
The
bad.
coach of
Coach in
Connecticut,
Toronto. They went for
Dan Harlan.
yeah, the coach in Houston, Ime
Ime
Adoku.
Udoka. Yep.
Yeah, they went for Jason Kidd. It was like, what are you doing? And I love it. I absolutely love that all the teams were like, no, right
No,
away.
they're your coach for a reason.
There was like there was like 10 different coaches that they went and talked or
It's
tried to
crazy.
talk to. And I'm like, but the big thing, and all right, I don't like talking bad about the four letter network very often. They are the worldwide leader. They know what they're doing.
For now.
Um, I hate that they literally, and I mean, this was Fox Sports, ESPN, it was a whole bunch of them. I hate that they all were like, oh, Jason Kidd forced his way out of the Brooklyn Nets and he went to the Bucks, and they're trying to like, and I mean, obviously, Bucks fans, right? I know that they wanted to use that fuel to say something about Giannis and J Kidd loved Giannis. So they were getting more and more fuel for the Giannis to New York trade, right? Which still doesn't make any sense. Nobody wants Cat.
No.
Secondly, like um so then Jason Kidd and the Dallas Mavericks literally just came out and were like, no, we're good. Go somewhere else. Then they didn't have any more fuel for the Giannis trade. Then like all of this other stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, they're gonna get this guy's coach and that coach, and they're gonna trade a pick for this guy and that guy. And I'm like, you if the guy's a good coach, why would he go there?
Exactly.
Like you said, Dallas, yeah. Okay, Dallas is in the same area Milwaukee is right now. Your star player's hurt, or one of your star players is hurt for half the season, maybe the full season. But you're getting Cooper Flag. who
Yeah.
could or could not be the man. You got Anthony Davis. You got Derek Lively. You got a bunch of dudes that they were holding it down for a while.
Yeah.
Like
You might get
now,
LeBron James on top of this.
maybe, who knows? Like you can get anybody at this point.
Yep.
And so now you're looking at other teams saying the same thing. I mean, I just seen something so ridiculous that I didn't even know if I wanted to bring it up, but I did put NBA trades in the top of this. And yeah, we did get one big trade, but like I saw a trade that was like Karl Anthony Towns and gosh, I don't even remember who the other dude was for Kevin Durant. I'm like, no, why would anybody do that? Like,
No,
yeah, if you're the Suns, maybe you're looking for a big. You haven't had a big in a while, like Nurkic was there for a little bit, so that kind of worked. Maybe you need a big instead of another ball dominant guard because you got Bradley Beal and Devin Booker, but okay, maybe I could talk myself into it, but you can get a lot more for Kevin Durant than a 1-for-1, basically.
I kind of put this out there because yeah, he's got scoring potential. Does he really have the ability to go minute for minute and have that real high driving force? Because to be honest, if you look at Kevin Durant, we can say now that in recent memory, within basically the COVID era, he's been on two teams that have been just utter disasters. And they've
Yep.
had really good players surrounding him. And the one team that worked was Golden State. They really have a system. They have players intact. They have I mean, they got great coaching there. You have other great pieces that make up that team. Um, I think, to be honest, if I were the other teams in the NBA, I would actually try to short Kevin Durant's stock for the fact that you're seeing how utterly disastrous things are going in Phoenix, and you saw how things played out in Brooklyn. I'll be honest, and now that, I mean, people have pointed this out. I've seen it. Kevin Durant doesn't have the same hustle going down the court that he's had kind of
Yeah.
not too long ago.
Wait,
I
now
don't
hear me
think
out.
he's worth it.
I understand that his legs are, he he's gone through the surgeries, he's done his thing. He's a walking bucket no matter what. The
Right.
problem with Kevin Durant, and yeah, it's because I mean he's what 36 years old, somewhere in that realm. Um,
Yep.
Kevin Durant's not a number one. I
No.
don't think Kevin Durant's ever really been a number one. He's always had to have an
Compliment.
alpha guard near him.
Yes.
Even
Yep.
when Brooklyn took Milwaukee to the limit, the Kyries and the James Hardens were there too.
Yep.
Now you have back in the day you had the what Russell Westbrooks and the
Westbrook.
James Hardens. You
Yep.
had the Currys and the Klay Thompsons. This is going to sound insane. He would fit, I think, pretty well in New York. I don't think they have enough around the team though, because then they're missing. He's not going to rebound. He plays solid enough defense. He's 7 foot tall. I mean,
Totally.
not
He
long and
defended
lengthy.
Giannis.
Now, are you ready for this one?
Oh, tinfoil
Tinfoil hat
hat.
time.
Nice.
Tinfoil hat time.
Dallas.
No.
I want to put
There's
everyone on the Dallas Mavericks.
I see that, but
Triggs,
there's a
how about
team.
we get you a jersey? We put you on the Dallas Mavericks, and I'll get a T-shirt and hold a clipboard.
I'm not gonna lie. Even in my old age, I might be able to play 5 minutes and give you a bucket.
Nice.
Maybe
Just
one
one bucket,
bucket,
2
one
points.
couple
Or how
assists.
about a hack and one going up, and you hit 1 out of 2 free throws?
Hey, I'm actually a really good free throw shooter.
Okay, you'll get
Last
both.
time I was recorded for free throws, I was like a 90% free throw shooter. But
That's pretty good.
just
No debate.
I'm a basketball coach, so if I can't teach you how to flick the wrist, like
Yeah.
weird. But it seems like the Suns are trying to get off of that money, right? They're trying to get rid of that. Hear me out. There's a certain player who makes about as much money that is not going. Remember, tinfoil hat time.
Oh yeah, tinfoil
That is
hat.
not going to play next year, and they could possibly trade for this player, either let that money go, stretch that money, or maybe get an exception from the NBA.
Okay.
Just saying, I'm wearing a lot of stuff from that state right now.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
What if
Guy
you
who's
flipped
beat up. The only one I can
Damian
think of.
Lillard for Kevin
Oh,
Durant? The
that's
Suns
right.
get off of that money. They move on from Damian Lillard whenever they want,
Right.
or stretch that money out, whatever they got to do.
Yeah.
That gives Damian Lillard a free pass to go wherever he wants. And now Giannis gets 1 to 2 years of Kevin Durant, who doesn't have to play much defense, just be in the way, get some shots up. He's a walking bucket. I mean,
Yeah.
20, 25 points is easy. And he would be the perfect complement where you have Ryan Rollins, and you have guys like that. Maybe you get Gary Trent Jr. to come back on another minimum with Kevin Porter Jr. on the side, where
Yep.
we pick up maybe an option on him. And now you spread that ball out, bring the mid-level for Brook Lopez or somebody like that, even Bobby Portis. It doesn't really
Yeah.
matter at that point. And you just let those two guys go. Now, mind you, they play a different ball game where they don't have to watch each other. Kevin Durant can hit corner threes like no other. He can hit threes and mid-ranges from anywhere.
Yep.
Giannis goes to the rim, and now that mid-range looks pretty good. Ooh, that might be Studley. And if you're
Yep.
the Bucks, think about this. You only have to pay Kevin Durant for a year or two.
That's perfect.
I've heard he's looking for an extension, but dude, by the time he gets that extension, if he really likes it here, he could probably take a little less money. He's not going to be worth $50 million in a couple years. Neither is Damian Lillard. Plus, you get that time around Giannis to go. The East is wide open now. As
It is.
much as people want to say it, could a Kevin Durant and Giannis beat the Indiana Pacers?
Oh yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Can a Kevin Durant and Giannis beat the New York Knicks the way they are right now? Yeah,
It'd be
probably.
close. It'd be close.
I mean, Cleveland, probably. I see we have people up watching us. If you got any comments, you drop them in below. Mate, where do you think Kevin Durant's going to go? Because I mean, there's a lot of different teams. I hear Miami and stuff like that. I go, well, Miami's kind of. No offense to Miami, they don't really have anybody to
Yeah.
trade,
Nobody.
and they're kind of trash. Like Bam Adebayo,
Yeah.
Kevin Durant, and Tyler Hero. No, like what is that going to do?
Yeah. I mean, I even told you too during the Olympics. I didn't even like Bam Adebayo being on
no,
that team.
like it. To me, he's just another one of those guys. Like until he starts to get his jump shot going, yeah, I've seen him hit some threes here and there, but
Yeah.
like he's Clint Capella with a little bit more offensive game.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of why like you bring up Clint Capella. The other team I was thinking down there, I was thinking Atlanta in a way.
Yeah,
And I remember hearing that a while back, like pair him up with Trae Young and some of those other guys they
Dyson
got
Daniels.
down in it. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what
Ooh,
I was kicking around. But I
ooh.
do really like the Milwaukee Bucks play. I think that makes a lot of sense. The New York Knicks play, I don't really get because they're going to have to compensate for it. And then
Mhm.
the way that ball distribution would work with the Knicks, just to me, doesn't really make too much sense.
Right. And it sounds weird, but Giannis can pass. We saw by the time those last 10 to 15 games, he
He
turned
passes
into a
plenty.
point guard.
Yeah,
Right. And yeah, Jalen Brunson's a point guard, but he's a small shooting guard to me.
yeah,
Like he can give you buckets, but then everybody else kind of just stands there and goes, I can wait. Like, what do you
right.
do now?
Yeah, yeah. With the Knicks, I mean, you just don't feel that pace of play. It's kind of a lot of isolation kind of play and get the ball to Brunson at some point is kind of what it feels like. I feel too that if you had, I mean, I don't know, like it feels like it would either be Brunson or Durant running that offense, and then the other just kind of is stuck and really isn't
Yeah.
making too much opportunity out of being part of that offense. I think where you have Kevin Durant as more of a complement to a either a pace of play or a power low post kind of play team is where he benefits most. So your power low post would clearly be Milwaukee, and a pace of play kind of team, kind of just off the top of our heads, like an Indiana, OKC, Cleveland, something like that. Maybe even a Boston to a certain extent. Something like
The
that is where that stuff makes sense.
the other one I seen was Minnesota, and I'm like, but if you're Phoenix, why would you want Julius Randle? Like, because
Yeah.
that's the only way. I mean, unless you want Rudy Gobert, like, there's no way you can make that money match. And that's the main problem. Like, let's talk about the trade that actually did happen, right?
Yep.
Desmond Bain going to the
Orlando.
Magic, which, don't get me wrong, I like the fit. I do.
Yeah.
But, and here's the big but. What the heck is Memphis? They, they got 4 first round picks and a pick swap and Cole Anthony, who, by the way, Cole Anthony's a bucket. Like, I don't know why he wasn't getting more PT down there. I mean, there'd be times where he'd explode and then all of a sudden he wouldn't play for 2 games. And it's like, I like that kid, right? But, and they got KCP, who is a playoff game changer. Like,
Yeah. A
I,
great shooter. Like, and he's got one of the most beautiful shots of anyone.
and like, this is the big part that bothered me though. When you look at Triple J over there, he just got that big payday. And personally, I actually, and I was wrong. I mean, I can admit it. I thought that meant Ja Morant was gone first, not
Right.
Desmond Bain. Desmond Bain's a great like glue guy. He's like a
Sure.
CJ McCollum kind of player where
Yep.
he's always been that number 2, but he can give you a bucket. Like,
Right.
um, I how the heck is he worth 4 first round picks though? Like,
That's a steal,
a
man.
young player.
I mean, I like John Hamm, but like, what are you doing, man?
I'm well, I don't even know what to say. But like, then you start talking about guys like Giannis getting traded, and it's like, if they got 4 first round picks, I want every pick in the first round. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
what is
At that
going
point,
on
we're
here?
looking at like a baker's dozen. And I mean,
Yeah,
like, if Rudy Gobert got like what, 7? I
something ridiculous with a
or
bunch of swaps.
it was like 3 players and 4 picks, like some crazy Rudy Gobert stuff. But
Now,
yeah,
the,
Giannis would have to be in that as well, which is why I think we're getting to the point where we're clearly seeing no one is going to trade for Giannis.
and
It's just not gonna make sense.
you heard me like for the last month or so talking
Yep.
about the Spurs as the only place that has enough firepower because they have pick 2 and 14, 13, somewhere in there.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like,
Sure.
now if you give us 2 picks in the first round plus, like, you know
Future.
Stephon Castle,
Yep.
who was the rookie of the year last year. But
Yep.
then that becomes too much. And it's just like the Kevin Durant deal that I was hypothetically just throwing out there. You got to match money. So now you got to give us Harrison Barnes, Devin Vassell, maybe somebody else. Who knows? Throw Chris Paul in there. You got De'Aaron Fox over there already. So now you're throwing just anything against the wall. Okay. But then what else do you have? Jeremy Sohan, like, and 2 superstars? Is that enough? Can you get guys to come on minimum deals? And from what we've seen, 2 superstars is not enough.
Right. Yeah, it has to be more than that. You're definitely not getting 3, but yeah, it's got to be some mix of like really high end stars or young up and coming plus picks, and no one's ready to budge on any combination of that.
I mean, this trade, I'm literally typing it in as I'm saying this. This trade like window nonsense before the draft is kind of insane.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of odd the way it is. I just I think the Kevin Durant play that you pointed out for Damian Lillard, I think that's the kind of value that's spot on. But some of these other trades that I've been hearing, whether it's New York or Houston, great. You can land Kevin Durant, but common sense, you know he doesn't get to play with those players because there's going to be compensation going the other way, which
Yep.
means you're picking players off, and you'd rather have those players than draft picks with the way the current NBA draft is formatted. So you don't get to play with all those players. And basic mathematics, if you're giving me something great, then I'm really going to be grabbing into the toy chest to take what I want that actually made your team great. And that's
Yeah.
why, like, I think Ime Udoka is so stubborn and staunch, and why he made sure to give Steven Adams a good deal today is that he wants to keep building this. He wants to keep growing it. He knows he can add more to it through the draft, and whoever he can acquire before the season starts. I mean, at the end of the day, Ime Udoka is a Boston Celtic. He knows that organization through and through. He knows their prototype, how they like to build a team. That's going on in Houston. Houston went from like absolute cellar, probably second worst team in the NBA 2 years ago, to a top four team in the West like that. And the last team that we've noticed that kind of made that rise was the Sacramento Kings, and they're nowhere to be seen now. So what
None.
Ime Udoka is doing with Houston, he is not going to just give that up for a hot, flashy name like Kevin Durant, or bring in a Giannis and give away everything else that he's built. It's just not going to happen. So there's
Now,
teams like this that are just not willing to budge.
that's the other team that kind of caught my attention because they could match money too. And but do they have enough assets? And that's Boston. Because you hear about them trying to move along from Drew Holiday
Yep.
and Kristaps Porzingis. So it's like, okay, that money can match pretty easily. But
Right.
then what about the Suns? Do they want that? I mean, we love Drew Holiday in Milwaukee for helping us win a championship, but he's clearly not Drew Holiday anymore. Like
Yep. It
he's a
shows.
good dude. He's a good solid piece, but $40 million not happen. Kristaps
No.
Porzingis, same thing. Like he can
And
barely stay on the
injury.
court. Yeah.
Yep.
And I know I talked about moving Lillard who's injured, but it's like unless you're trying to get rid of that money, like it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and the Boston stuff happened quick, and then in the thick of your playoff run, you lose Jason Tatum, so you lose your third best player on that team. Yeah, I mean they had a lot of wind come out of their sails, and then when all that stuff happened, Boston is now at a point where they're kind of like, we're stuck. You're
Yep.
stuck with money, and you're stuck with banged up assets. You had no idea that Jason Tatum was going to pull his Achilles.
No.
You can't plan for that. It sucks. Wish him the best. They paid Jason Tatum a ton of money based off of what he did in the NBA Finals last year, and that's fine. But they're in a money handcuff situation that they can't get out of, and no one's really looking to move on or acquire those assets except for their number one overall player in Jalen Brown.
Right.
That's their real gung ho player, but that's their best guy and basically their only guy. So it's not really going to work too well.
Hey, and if you're anybody, right? Why would you help that team?
Oh yeah,
There's
you want that team to go down quick.
there's no reason to help that team. Like I'm not doing it.
No.
You can't make me. Um, but
Yeah.
speaking of teams I don't want to help,
Okay.
but I'm gonna give her a shout out. Angel Reese put up a triple double this past game.
Sure.
That's pretty dope. Like I know that's random, but WNBA is flying high and doing their thing.
They are.
We got some Paige Beckers running out there. Did you know Paige Beckers is leading the league in assists?
That is cool. That is
That is
pretty
pretty
cool.
cool, right?
I mean, like from
Um,
watching the Connecticut games, I saw her play. I mean, kind of like what you pointed out with Giannis, or if you're watching Indiana Pacers play, she's got that style. She has that pace of play. It's to me, it's kind of like a LeBron James mindset, where LeBron James always looks for that open lane, that open player, and Paige is all about that from what she did in Connecticut and now doing that in Dallas, and that's great to see. I heard someone point out they really think that Paige Beckers over the next couple of seasons could easily overtake Caitlin Clark and be the best player in the entire WNBA. I mean,
Oh, really?
you got some bigs that you gotta overtake as well with
That's
it
wild.
is very possible that Paige's overall game and plus more extra time kind of healing up from that ACL injury. She's definitely got the skill set that she could do it, and she's coming off a year winning a national title with the Huskies, so
Right.
she's definitely got that ability. And plus, I mean, I even think 2 years ago, I really did think she was probably going to win it had she not torn her ACL.
I mean, I can't disagree with that. I mean, she's she's a pretty solid player.
Yep.
Like she's over there with Enrique doing their thing at Wnba,
Yeah.
Milwaukee right there. But like I don't know if she'll be a better player because Caitlin's got so much. She's the new type of player, like that Curry
Yes.
type of shoot threes. She doesn't have very many moves to get to the rim. That's where Paige
No.
Becker, her mid range game is fire. Like
Sure.
she will stop on a dime, pull up, be ready to go. Obviously, leading the league in assists. Caitlin Clark was in that exact same mode last year, passing the ball.
Yep.
But now, like, it's kind of weird that she's not leading the league in assists just because of how ridiculous her team is now.
Yeah.
I was just looking at it before, but Indiana's they're a 500 team right now. Obviously, missing Caitlin Clark, but
Yeah.
Dallas, their team is they're kind of doing their thing, and they'll get there. I had to just check. I was like, I don't remember them winning a game, but they're 1 and
Yeah.
11, so they'll get another good pick, just like Indiana did, and we'll move on from there. Um, but I did want to give that shout out to Angel Reese because she
Yeah.
is hooping. She leads the league in
Absolutely.
rebounds, and I know people are gonna say it's her own rebounds, but she's actually getting 7 or 8 defensive rebounds per game. So she's almost a walking double double just on defensive rebounds. Plus, you throw in those 3 or 4 offensive rebounds. It's pretty nice. She's a walking double double. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you this: she's also leading the league in the cereal aisle. If you get a chance and you're in the cereal aisle,
Okay.
I saw this at a place I frequently shop at. And this is brilliant marketing, and I never even realized it until I saw her on the box. And this is crazy, but Angel Reese's Puffs,
Yep.
like
That's
that is
true.
crazy, and she looks awesome, baller on that packaging. It's super cool. Man, if I were her, I would find a way to somehow buy some ownership into Reese's peanut butter cups, just straight up, because her
You never know.
branding with Reese's peanut butter from here on out, and I never even put the two and two together, which is mind blowing. She would be she's onto something that is going to be as man, it's potentially up there almost like with Jordan and Nike. If she can do her thing and just kind of keep killing it in the
Okay.
WNBA, and she
Okay.
keeps branding with Reese's peanut butter, it's going to be insane.
Hey, and at some point they got to become a good team, right? Like I know they're kind of treading water a little bit at the bottom of the Eastern Conference, but um
Well, they also
what
lost what's her name who just got hurt. Um, Candace Parker's wife. Um,
oh,
I'm blanking on her name. What is her name? But the other like leading scorer on the Chicago Sky. Um,
see if I can give it a quick look here.
yeah, Courtney
The-
Vandersloot.
Oh, Courtney, really? That's are
Yes,
you sure that's Caitlin or Candace Parker's wife?
I believe so.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Well, now you just blew my mind because I would have never put that together. But yeah, actually, who's the second leading scorer on the team? Camille Cardosa.
Yeah, I
You
was
know,
thinking that. I was
she's a
like, well,
she's
she's
a hooper.
back.
Yeah. but they got Haley Van Lith over there, who's probably going to get more time if Courtney's down.
Yep.
I always like saying Vandersloot. Just
It's a
I'm
cool
just a
name.
weird person. Yeah, it's a cool name, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Okay, okay. We
Yeah, fun fact too. I actually just saw Candace Parker's it was like a 30 for 30 documentary or something, kind of going through her career. And it was pretty cool. Like really,
okay.
really cool. And that's where you see Courtney Vandersloot in it. And they played together on the Sky.
Wait a minute. Okay, nope. She is not with Courtney Vandersloot.
Oh.
She is with Anna Petrakova.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Now you've got me like really confused, and I might be jumping down a rabbit hole pretty soon because
That's
I'm
okay.
like, what?
Yeah, I thought it was her.
She was
I truly
European
thought it
hooper.
was Vandersloot. Huh. Oh well.
Unless like I'm losing my mind. No, they got married in 2019. So
Okay. Yeah, right around COVID.
sometimes we get the wrong people.
It's okay. It's all
What?
good. But yeah,
Oh, what?
really cool 30 for 30. And for me, like probably of everyone in the WNBA, Candace Parker is probably my favorite WNBA player. Plus, she played on the Aces, so that was pretty cool.
Solid.
And she
I
was
mean,
awesome in college too at Tennessee.
she's no Sue Bird, but I'll let you have it.
That's fair. That's fair, man.
Oh, watch this segue. So she was definitely the right player for Tennessee, Chicago, LA,
Yep.
everywhere she was. But rounded up, we're here for the main event, right? Is
We
Aaron
are.
Rodgers the right player for the Pittsburgh Steelers? That's what we're going with. That's no
Okay.
debate, by the way.
That's no debate. But I will say I'm still confused how this player isn't. I don't know what team this player is on or if he's still a free agent, but I know he's been on teams the last few seasons. I don't know what happened in the one game he played last year, but 2 years ago I saw this guy really do, or 2 years ago or maybe 3 years ago I saw this guy do his thing in Indianapolis. And I thought it was all right, but I don't get why Rodgers would be picked ahead of Carson Wentz. I think Wentz is a guy who's younger. He's got a bigger build. He's healthier. He's had less tread on the tires the last few seasons, and just the whole makeup of Pittsburgh. It's rough, man. I mean, if I'm a Steelers fan, I hope I lose a lot of football games, and I hope Aaron Rodgers isn't good enough to make you like what I've been in the situation of being a Raiders fan, of being the eighth to 10th worst team, and then you're kind of sweating bullets. Or actually, I think we were sixth. Like you just don't want to be in that 6 to 10 mix, which is why I think in the near future we're going to begin a NFL lottery to kind of take care of that stuff. But man, I think Rodgers in Pittsburgh is just flat out not going to work. And plus, taking away George Pickens, taking away Najee Harris, who's a solid pass catching
Right.
back, and the between Rodgers and Matt Canada, or not Matt Canada, Arthur Smith, that offensive style, Arthur Smith is basically going to lose his job. I mean, they're basically going to gear up for firing Arthur Smith in the next, I don't know, maybe 5 to 7 weeks of their season. Arthur Smith wants to have guys in motion. He wants things happening in that offense, whereas Rodgers is, and Arthur Smith wants play action. Aaron Rodgers does no play action. Aaron Rodgers does no motion. That is not his thing at all. And then you also take the left tackle from the Steelers, and he just left and signed with the Tennessee Titans. I don't know who this backup is, but I guess they believe in him. But basically, the only guy you got is DK Metcalf, who only runs in a straight line, and that's it. I think the Steelers, and now you got contract disputes with TJ Watt. How good is that defense going to be? I I mean, man, I'll be honest about this. I'm looking at this. I think the Steelers could possibly end up being almost worse than Cleveland. if you really mix this up, man.
Yeah.
I think Pittsburgh's gonna easily. I mean, I was high on Pittsburgh last year, and I was right that they did make the playoffs. I think this is going to be clearly one of the worst teams in the NFL. But if you're a Steelers fan, you just cross your fingers and hope that you're not bad, but still kind of good. You got to hope that everything just hits the fan. The only the thing that kind of is concerning about this, and I've seen some of these teams' schedules. Cleveland has a buzzsaw schedule. They have an absolute buzzsaw schedule. I mean, they could easily go into their bye week. I think it's like week 6 or week 7, and they could lose all of their games. They do play a game heads up against Pittsburgh, but Cleveland out of the gates is going up against Lamar Jackson, Jordan Love, Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, the Vikings, and Aaron Rodgers. That could be easily 0-6 or 0-7. And you hope that the game against the Steelers is a game that you would also lose if you're a Browns fan. But it could go either way. And I don't know what Pittsburgh's schedule is, but it's going to be similar to that. But it to me it's just going to show how bad Pittsburgh is. This is clearly going to fall apart. It's just not going to work. They have nothing on offense. They barely have things on defense without TJ Watt. I think Pittsburgh's going to be an absolute disaster this year.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
So if you don't know about that, we are about to put Steve Metrics on the spot. 5 up for no debate.
There we go.
Okay. I'm going to run down the Pittsburgh Steelers schedule for you. Yep. You're going to tell me how many games they win.
Uh-oh.
Ready?
Let's do this.
Okay. Regular season, New York Jets. What do you got?
If it's straight up out of the gate, I like what the Jets are building. I know that Aaron Glenn is going to coach these guys as hard as he can, as Mike Tomlin will with the Steelers. I just straight up like overall the culture change of the Jets, from getting out from Aaron Rodgers, getting out from whatever weird Robert Saleh stuff they had going. I would take the Jets in that heads up matchup.
Okay. All right, we're going to do a revenge game for DK Metcalf week 2. Price of the tickets are $194 though. Seattle comes to Pittsburgh. What do you got?
Yeah, as much as I kind of don't like Seattle, there's a part of me that's kind of starting to like kind of how that roster is built. Yeah, Seattle's going to win that game.
Okay. Going to New England week 3.
Week 3, I know my Raiders see New England week 1, and people are saying some interesting stuff about Drake May, and I'm hearing a ton of praise for Josh McDaniels, who is an utter asshole.
Whoa.
So
It's a family show.
I know. It is. But they probably said that on Shrek or something, so it's okay. I'll take the Patriots.
Wait, you're taking the Patriots to win?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. All right. The most expensive ticket in the house, and I can't even believe I'm going to say this. It literally says on ESPN's schedule, tickets as low as $799. I don't know if that's low for you, but definitely not for me. Week 4, they go to Minnesota. Or no, they're at home against Minnesota. Sunday night football, or actually Sunday morning football. That's an 8:30 a.m. game. I wonder where the heck that is.
They play back. Is that one of the back-to-back games the Vikings play in the UK?
Well, maybe that is why. Man, people in the UK are balling. $799.
Yeah, right. That's it. Because I know the Vikings play back-to-back games in UK and Ireland.
Okay, so yeah, I'm assuming you're taking Minnesota on that one, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'll definitely take the Vikings on that.
All right, they have their week 5 bye. So, all right, so far they have lost to the Jets, Seattle, New England, and the Vikings. So they come out of the bye week. They're at home against the Cleveland Browns. What do you got?
Boy,
Win number one?
that's an interesting one. I think that might be their get right game. I
Okay,
will
get
give them
right
a
game.
win.
One win for them. All right,
Yeah.
they come back next week on a Thursday night, and they play the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati.
Oh, they're gonna get smoked. Plus
Okay.
travel. Yeah, they'll get absolutely smoked. Or actually,
Uh,
no. Yeah, but they'll get smoked.
the next week, they play Sunday Night Football in a Aaron Rodgers revenge game number 2 on the list. They play at home against the Green Bay Packers.
Oh man. Yeah. So if getting smoked against Joe Burrow wasn't great, yeah, you're absolutely gonna get lit up by the Packers. Packers are gonna just be it's gonna be blood in the water for sharks.
I'm assuming you're about to give them win number 2, but I could be wrong. They're going to
Let's
play
see.
at home against the Indianapolis Colts.
At home against the Indianapolis Colts. I whew, that's an interesting one. Yeah, I think we will. I don't know too much about the Colts, to be honest, in this offseason. I know they're going to be going into a battle with Richardson and Daniel Jones. It's going to be rough. I like Shane Steichen, but I don't know, man. We're about to see in the next few years how things are really working for the Colts. Shane Steichen might be on his shot clock, starting to run out with that team. I think the Colts are pretty bad. So, yeah, I think you're right that we're going to give Pittsburgh a win. They'll figure it out for that game.
Win number 2. All right. So, for the entire time that we've been talking about No Debate Sports, for some reason, I have some sort of hatred against this team.
Uh
They are going to LA to play the Chargers.
oh. Oh wow. Yeah, this is the week that in fantasy, if you own Najee Harris, yeah, you start Najee Harris, or you figure out some way to trade for Najee Harris and start him. That's gonna be a bloodbath, man. Like he's absolutely gonna go to town against the Steelers.
All right. Do they split this next one? They're going to be at home against the Cincinnati Bengals.
No, I think Joe Burrow and friends, even not having a defense, the fact that your offense is going to be doing so much of the heavy lifting that your defense doesn't have to be on that field for too long, I think is really going to play a factor. And I think too, we got to put into effect for Cincinnati that them bringing back Chase Brown off of injury, I think is really going to start to pay dividends for them. And knowing that he went down, if they have to bring any other kind of reinforcements via free agency or the draft or however else they address the running back position, they're going to be ready for that. They're probably going to get the Trey Hendrickson stuff done before training camp. So I really like the Bengals, man. I think it's the scariest team that didn't make the playoffs last year. And to be honest, if we're just talking straight up true quarterbacking, and we know Lamar Jackson does a bunch of shake and bake. Josh Allen's got a cannon of an arm, but he can kind of go obsolete in some games too. I'll be honest, I truly think the best straight up quarterback that quarterbacks is absolutely Joe Burrow. That's where I feel. I know he didn't make the playoffs, but if he would have made the playoffs last year, then I absolutely would have voted for him for MVP.
I agree on that one. All right. So I'm automatically um, relegated, I guess,
Sure.
or forced to give this next team a loss against Aaron Rodgers because he does own the Chicago Bears. So
Yeah,
win number 3, no matter what, Chicago loses.
that's you, good sir. That is not me. I even wonder at this point if he's even going to make it through the season. I truly think part of me says things are going to go so off the rails that at some point he just takes some kind of injury somehow and says, "Yeah, it's just not worth it," and basically just says, "You know what? I tried, it didn't work. I got no qualms about giving this a shot and just saying that it just the wheels fall off, man. Like the wheels fall off the tires essentially in this. I think probably halfway through the season he's going to realize that it's gone. It's like Wait, I remember seeing on TNT, Dwayne Wade was interviewed, and he said that there was a point in time when he was playing with LeBron James in Cleveland that he knew that it was over. Like he was coming off the bench and he was trying to give him some minutes and score some buckets. He had nothing left in the tank. We are clearly going to get that at some point. So that makes me think at what point are we going to start seeing Will Howard or Mason Rudolph? This might be one of those games against Chicago, which might actually be a good time to say, you know what, let's go with Will Howard and let's just see what the heck the kid's got. I think things are going to, and not only that too, is if you're Pittsburgh and you're at that point and you have like 2 wins, you really don't want to be winning more games after that. If you're picking high up in the draft, those teams that are picking number 1, number 2, number 3 overall, they got 2 to 3 wins. That's about it. So I think probably halfway through the season, Rodgers is just done.
Oh wow. All right.
Yeah.
So if he's only got 2 wins at this point, I'm just gonna skip over the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh my
I'm just
gosh.
assuming they're gonna win.
Oh, they're
So
gonna get
then they got
annihilated.
Miami. They got Miami. Do you think they can beat the Miami Dolphins at home?
Yeah, I mean, if you're at that point at home, I think Miami's another team that we're going to see is pretty much straight up trash. Um, Miami's going to be fighting for things. Miami's going to win that game.
Miami, Miami wins. You just said they were trash.
They are.
They're gonna win. Oh, good lord!
They
This
are.
is okay.
I mean,
So
if Miami's completely healthy going into that week, they're going to have a shot at not only winning that game, they're going to have a shot at making the playoffs because you'll have Devon Achane, you'll have Tua Tagovailoa. They're a totally different team if they don't have Tua for whatever reason. Tyreek Hill is down there. I thought they traded for a tight end. I got to double check this, but the other thing too is like there's a reason why Vic Fangio left that team because that defense is trash. And I've heard stuff about Jalen Ramsey and all that. Jalen Ramsey is a trash player at this point too. It's if they are healthy, Miami can do some things. And I mean, my Raiders went toe for toe against Miami in the it was either last season or the season before. And I'll be honest, when they got their guys, they can literally score at will. I saw Tyreek Hill basically do a nothing route, and he turned basically 7 to 15 yard play into a straight out, like over the middle route, and then he went off for 42 yards after that. Like that's what Miami can do. They can do that at the snap of a finger, a flick of the wrist. They're crazy. So yeah, granted they're going up north and they suck in the cold, but it's probably not too late into the season, so I'll take Miami against
it
Pittsburgh.
it'd be December 15th. But Miami did get Jonnu Smith is the tight end that you're thinking of.
Yeah.
So we're gonna skip over the Detroit Lions game because they're at Detroit. So the next winnable game, Week 17, the cheapest ticket on the market, and we might want to go to this game. Representing some No Debate Sports.
Okay.
They are going back to Cleveland. The lowest ticket is $56. We might get some Shador Sanders against I don't know, some
Will
other
Howard.
quarterback.
Will Howard.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Skylar Thompson, somebody.
Yeah. I'll take Cleveland at this point. And the thing is too, I think Cleveland is gonna try they're gonna try some things basically after that bye week. Or possibly around the time of that first Pittsburgh game. They're gonna look at this and say, okay, we realize that we are not getting things working with Joe Flacco. We might as well go with the quarterback. And it might not be any of their calls. It could easily be blanking on his name, the owner of the Cleveland Browns. He's the one who drafted Shadur.
Haslett?
Yeah, Jim Haslam. He might be the one who
Haslam.
actually
There you go.
yeah, exactly. He's going to be the guy that pretty much says, okay, at this point, you need to start Shadur Sanders if you want to keep your job.
Dylan Gabriel.
Oh, he's bad.
No.
He is so bad. And I've heard people point out too in one of these practices recently, Dylan Gabriel completed like 50% of his passes. Kenny Pickett less than that. There was some training camp photo op for social media or whatever. Joe Flacco is like 6 foot something. Like he's basically borderline NBA player. Dylan Gabriel is like the size of Kyler Murray. And they had
Yeah.
to arrange the two guys in a certain way to make it so that one wasn't like basically Joe Flacco was kind of squatting with his arms to the side, like to make it so he's not as overbearing over Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel is not that good. He played in a system which is kind of similar to Alabama. Oregon's getting these guys nowadays. He's not. He's basically the backup for Bo Nix. Dylan Gabriel is basically just benefiting from having good players surrounding him. He is clearly, to me, not an NFL player by any means. I think he's a
No.
glorified high school player, to be honest. And that's kind of what I see in guys like Tua Tagovailoa with Miami, where you're basically playing on the best team your entire career until you land in Miami. So
Hey,
I really struggle with these guys who can't really see over the line of scrimmage.
so Dylan Gabriel is 5'11", and Joe Flacco is 6'6". If we're
Yep.
playing that game,
Yep.
that is wow.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
It is. And to me, Flacco is basically, in all honesty, his comp is basically Jameis Winston. They both have big arms. They can chuck it. They can get you touchdowns, and they can get you lots of interceptions and lots of turnovers, and you're out of games quickly. That's what happened to Joe Flacco in the playoffs. He had a great stretch, got them to the playoffs 2 years ago, and then he turned into Jameis Winston 30 for 30. But those two guys are identical. That's how they play.
Hey, I
I
mean, Joe
think.
Flacco still had one of the greatest runs in playoff
Oh
history.
yeah.
So I mean, we got to give him his due there.
He does, and that is why Stefanski won Coach of the Year 2 years ago. It feels like forever, but it was really 2 years ago. But Shadur, when it's come to these practices, he's had a really high completion percentage. He's thrown some really nice deep balls as well. He's got some touchdowns. He's got the swag. I think he's got to start sooner than later, and you got to see what you got out of him because in that division you're going to be competing for last place with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and if Pittsburgh is at the very bottom of the NFL draft, well, then Pittsburgh is getting Arch Manning. So now they kind of see what their future is going beyond this. They're probably going to land the franchise quarterback. If you're Cleveland, you have to ask yourself, do we have the franchise quarterback in Shadur Sanders? And you have to know that sooner than later because that division, if it is Arch Manning, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, that's a crazy quarterback division, and you have to go blow for blow. Granted, we know Cleveland would try to go the defensive route, but I guess they wouldn't be going the defensive route because then they should have drafted Abdul Carter in this draft, and they didn't. They didn't.
That's no debate right there.
That's no
Wait,
debate.
but we got a couple more minutes left. I got to put
Let him cook! Let him cook! Let him cook! Let him cook! I said let him cook!
We're all over the place. What else you got on your mind, Metrics? Couple more minutes left. I know you got some NFL news. There's something in there that's just been noodling around.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we were off last week. But what I have noticed, which is kind of interesting going on with the news with the NFL, and we've been talking about this team a little bit tonight. The Minnesota Vikings to me are very, very interesting. That offense is loaded. We look at Aaron Jones, TJ Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. That's at least
You
four
just got a
guys.
thumbs up because of the Minnesota. Who are you letting in on this show? No, just
Oh no.
kidding.
Yeah. but like we know that offense is loaded. The other thing that is interesting is you look at the schedule. Like schedules of these teams matter. And I think too it's very smart they're doing the back-to-back games in Europe to reduce the travel. So that's pretty cool too. But you look at flat out the schedule of the Vikings compared to teams like the Bears. I know people are high on the Bears, but they got a lot of stuff they're still working on. But if you look at their schedule, it's looking really, really gravy. I think the Vikings have a very sneaky good schedule. And I think this news that we've been hearing over the last week or so about, oh, is JJ McCarthy the guy? Like, why was he drafted so highly? Why is he not really looking that good? Why was he on a team that in Michigan really ran the ball a lot? And JJ McCarthy doesn't really do anything that's all that impressive. I'll be honest. I saw one game against JJ McCarthy. He hurt himself in the game in the preseason against my Raiders, and I was thinking the same thing. I was like, "There's nothing too great about this guy," but then you started to see him make some throws. He took off. He got wheels. He has confidence, and he has Kevin O'Connell as his coach. Which, to be honest, I think Kevin O'Connell is probably a top 5 coach in the NFL. I know he's had 2 playoff games, 0 wins, but man, between him and Mike Flores, work between the offense and the defense, and you got all those weapons out there. I really really think Minnesota is onto something, and I think that this news about McCarthy not being that great, I wonder too, is this something? Is this a play out of like the Kyle Shanahan playbook where you throw out this smoke, this fake news that people scoop up, and then when the season goes along and you start really racking up wins, scoring touchdowns, and doing your thing, I think him and O'Connell are tight, and there's a reason why JJ McCarthy scared off 3 quarterbacks. He scared off Darnold. He scared off Daniel Jones, and Aaron Rodgers wanted to be a Viking and couldn't. So that tells me right there that there is something cooking with JJ McCarthy. I saw it in the preseason game. He was way better than what I thought. I think the Vikings are definitely onto something. Their defense took a major step backwards last year, which I think is the biggest story that no one's talking about. So that tells me that that offense could be on the field even more often this upcoming season, which tells you for fantasy, you could get way more JJ McCarthy production, and you're probably going to get way more TJ Hawkinson production, which people forget about because TJ was really banged up last season as well.
Wow. All right. I was not expecting a Minnesota Viking bandwagon fan. Jeez, what's going on here?
Very, very much so. And in the coming weeks or months, we'll be making our divisional picks, and it's going to be hard to have me not pick that team to win a certain division they play in. I'll tell you that.
I thought we were having a good show until just now.
I'm just saying, man. There are some sneaky things going on with that team that people are. There's some weird news going on with the Vikings, and then someone showed me their schedule, and I know the guys that were beat up last season, and I know how good that coach is. That coach has never had a quarterback that has never been worse than average. They've always had a top 15 quarterback either throughout the course of the season or on the weeks that they've played. I mean, they had a guy play quarterback for them for like 3 weeks who had no preparation whatsoever going into his first game in Josh Dobbs. And he went like quarterback, what, 6'9" and like 12 in 3 weeks. So Kevin O'Connell is a heck of a coach. That I know. He's probably the best coach in the division, barring what we've seen from Ben Johnson. We don't know anything about Ben Johnson, although to be honest, I think he is the real meat and potatoes that ran everything in Detroit. I think all of your success in Detroit is tied with that guy.
Oh, there's this LaFleur guy that's been in the playoffs like every year, but
Yeah,
I
and
guess.
how'd that work last year, and how'd that work against teams
Whoa,
that?
wait a minute now. We don't talk about last year.
Okay,
We were one game away from the Super Bowl or the NFC Championship 2 years ago with a first-year quarterback. And then last year, he got hurt, beat up. Look, I'm going to make all the excuses in the world as a Packer fan.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's fine. Like, everyone's okay with excuses. It's okay.
But we made the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Awesome.
true. I mean, they made the playoffs. Yeah, yeah. So I think they're good, but we'll see what I think about Green Bay going into the season in the not too distant future.
That's true. I mean, we're getting close. What is there, like less than 100 days before the the preseason starts? Maybe the season,
No,
actually.
it's the season. You are
Yeah.
spot on. Less than 100 days before the season. We're around the 60 to 70-day mark before our league's draft coming up. We are at basically the end of June, where I'm basically saying to people, hey, like, I need to know if you're in or not, or do I have to start adding people for our league? So cool stuff going on with that. But yeah,
Hey, you want to tell all the people that are watching what kind of league we're in? Because it's dope.
It is dope. This is something that I've thought about for a while, and it's something that I've tried to put the pieces around. But we are flat out a 32 fantasy football league that will have the same configurations on offense as every NFL team. So by some way, somehow, the mix, as long as we have 32 people, all of the players that you'll be seeing playing every single week are going to be playing in some mix with our teams. There's obviously a restriction on quarterback, kicker, and defense. You can only have one of each. If guys get banged up, go on IR, cool. You can grab the backup of a team, whether it's kicker or quarterback. But that is it. We got 2 bench spots, so you can have probably your handcuffs for your running back and get a little gadgety on a wideout or a tight end if you feel like it. But other than that, that's the mix. We will have like every formation. If you want to go 22 personnel, 12 personnel, 13 personnel, however you want to do it, there is basically the exact same formations. The 6 players you see on offense outside of the offensive line, that is exactly what we're rolling with in fantasy.
Okay, I'm gonna have a problem there. If someone in our league runs 13 personnel metrics, if anyone, because I feel like it's you. That's why you just dropped that nugget in there. But that will be ridiculously uncalled for.
Yeah,
But a lot of fun to watch.
And fun fact, to whoever watches this episode and plays it back, of one of these NFL teams that we have brought up tonight, I am looking at that team's tight end as a super sleeper, and I believe that team's tight end will be the number 1 tight end in this upcoming season if it's not Brock Bowers.
You know what? I'm DJ Triggs. That's Steve Metrics. And that's no debate.
No debate.